Hi, it's Andrea Foulkes. It's the 8th of January 2015. Wow, how's the Ascension going for you? How's evolving consciousness going? How's reality going for you? I mean, these are, I suppose, some of the vocabulary people use. And it can be daunting. I think the words ascension, evolving consciousness can be daunting if you're newly waking up. If you're not newly waking up, then you've been on this journey maybe a while, you're getting with the lingo, and you're all about the star beings, and you're using new vocabulary to describe the energies coming to the planet. Well, there's a lot of big energies coming to the planet just now, and we're waking up, we're expanding in how we see reality. Simplify it. What happens if we simplify it? Well, we see what's going on in the mass media, and we're like, I don't like the look of that. I don't want to be part of that. That looks rubbish. And it's like the energies, let's just call it the energies without going into explaining on a really deep level. But the energies that have been running mainstream reality on this planet, they're kind of having their last, go at trying to push a reality that we're seeing through now. We're like going, you know what, we're starting to work out that we don't want that. As a collective, we don't want that. And we're starting to realize, still a lot of people are trying to change the world outside themselves, and they're campaigning and they're angry and they're ranting, and that's okay because they're entitled to do that. Everybody's entitled to do their part that they feel is right. But there's a tipping point where you realize that the only change that ever is going to be really effective is going to come from inside you, and what you see out there is only a reflective of the collective consciousness out there, is reflective of our state of being inside ourselves. Even though you personally may feel like you've evolved and you've done a lot of work on yourself, and still it looks pretty crappy out there, but that's the mainstream collective. What you need to be focusing on is your own personal reality in 2015, and this going inwardly into yourself. And many of you who watch my videos know that I started off as a past life regression expert. I had a big awakening 15 years ago, which you can hear about in the other videos. But, in that awakening, I expanded my consciousness and I started to see life from a different way. But it wasn't all, stars and moonbeams and fabulousness. It's not always been like that. And sometimes it's challenging, it's difficult. The pain body will come up, the shadow will come up, and I have to go into that. And predominantly I can do that work on myself, but that's because I have the ability to do that. Not everybody has the ability to do that work on themselves, and sometimes I do go and seek help from other people. But you need to be able to have the ability to read your own timelines. I say timelines, but they're actually Akashic records, past lives, whatever you want to call them. They're not just past lives, they're like ancestral past lives, emotional timelines. That means from being in the womb to present day in this lifetime. You don't always have that ability to read your own emotional records, but that's okay, because there are people out there who can do this work and they can help you. And we need to honor the fact that, the reason some of us are out there is because we're meant to be helping the other people, and we're not meant to have regular jobs because this is meant to be our work. And if it's meant to be our work, people will come to us and there will be exchange of energy. We call that abundance, and that's how it will flow. And if you can't make a living doing that right now, then maybe that's not what you're meant to be doing. There's something else you're meant to be doing. But in no way should that stop you from doing your inner journey work on yourself, or, wanting to help other people. Maybe in the job that you're doing now in 2015, you're helping people because your vibration is helping the collective energy of the group environment of where you work. And if that work is still enjoyable to you, then that's maybe the right place to be. You know, spiritual work takes many forms. It doesn't mean we have to all label ourselves as a spiritual teacher in 2015. And there are powerful energies coming to the planet. And if you're in that wave of ascension of people who's going to be hit with that energy really straight in the face, then you probably won't be in a 9-to-5 job. You'll have been removed from that a while back, so that, you know, you can be able to process that energy in whatever way it comes to you. So that's very important, I feel, to take on board in 2015, that we mustn't compare ourselves and our awakening or expanding consciousness or ascension. We just can't compare that to anybody else, even your family or friends. You know, their whole soul karma, and, you know, I know this from reading emotional Akashic records with people. You know, when I look at the soul contracts that you have, and I look at how long you've been kicking around this planet, what you've been through, everybody is unique and different. And everybody is experiencing something that they need to experience now. And maybe their family and friends don't need to have the same experience that you're having. So that's why it's not happening for them. And it's a free will choice. We have to give people the option to have the free will to suffer if they want to, because there is wisdom in suffering. You know, if you're having the experience of suffering, you have to get to the point where you don't want to suffer anymore, maybe to go inward, and maybe it hasn't got bad enough for them that they don't want to go inside themselves yet, or their belief systems are still very deeply ingrained in a third dimensional consciousness, and they prefer to go to an allopathic doctor, and that's their free will to choose that. If you're being guided to choose something different, then that's right for you. And I feel we have to share our knowledge and wisdom when we're asked. And if people aren't interested, there's no point in trying to share it with an audience, you know, that isn't interested. Just go about your merry way, working on yourself inwardly, working on your shadow self, your pain aspect, and release that. And there are layers and layers and layers to it for some people. And some people, they can just let a lot of stuff go in one fell swoop, but not everybody can. And so it's the surrendering of this comparing ourselves so much that makes it like a competition. And that's really an aspect of the ego projection, which is this competitive aspect, which I say is part of the ego, but it's really a part of that patriarchal energy, that competitive energy. And awakening and evolving consciousness is not a competition. There really isn't any finish line as such. There is no finish line. You know, you're an eternal consciousness experiencing itself. But Earth is going through a major transition right now, and you're going through your part in that play that you agreed to eons ago. And it's your free will how you go about that. Yes, some of the timelines have been tampered with. The reincarnational grid has been tampered with. If some of you are familiar with the word Archon and the Anunnaki and things like this, a lot of that is misunderstood because it's a different spin on it. Everybody's got their own little spin on it. But yeah, this planet isn't quite on the course it was meant to be on, so it's kind of going through its change. But for that to go through its change, we have to go through our individual change in our inner self. So if there was one thing I'd say for 2015, it would be to value very, very deeply doing the emotional inner journey work on yourself and going inward, and knowing that no matter how dark the thing is that you see, it's going to be better than what you're experiencing now. I think people are always frightened. Oh, what if when I see a past life, or I see my past in this lifetime, what if I've done something terrible, or what if somebody did something terrible to me? When you go through that with someone who's guiding you, like myself, to help you process that, you won't be judging it. You will be allowed to see it from a higher perspective, and you will release it in a way that is loving to yourself and loving to the other people, because you will surrender the judgment aspect of it to go into the sacred neutral space. Sometimes when you're able to access this on your own time, you go into the judgment aspect of it. And if you don't access it, it's because your fear of, oh my God, what if I did this terrible thing? Or what if this person did something terrible to me and they're still alive? And what if they did, how am I going to deal with looking them in the eye going forward? And what I'm predominantly talking about there is repressed memories from childhood, of people who've maybe done something that, you know, isn't pleasant towards you now. We're going to come to a sacred neutral space on that, and you will only see, this is the thing, this is probably the greatest thing about regression and emotional inner journey work. You only see what you're emotionally ready to see. I can't really repeat that enough, that there's like a default in your own belief system that you can only access what you're emotionally ready to access. So if you're not ready, you really won't see that, even though I may read that in your emotional Akashic record field. A wise person who reads the emotional Akashic records isn't going to tell you that if they don't sense you're emotionally ready to deal with that. You can test a barometer when you're reading emotional Akashic records. Regressing you is slightly different, because then that's you experiencing it, and you really will only go where you're ready to go if you're going through a form of regression. So it's like a default. Fear not, I think, is my big word to say. Fear not doing the emotional inner journey work, because the only thing that's going to happen from facing the shadow, the underworld, the dark side, whatever you want to call it, is you will get lighter and brighter, and your health and well-being will start to improve. You know, yes, it may bring up chaos in some areas of your life. Yes, you may have to look at areas of your life that you'd pushed under the carpet, rug, end, whatever you want to call it, and you didn't want to look at it. But it will only come out because you're emotionally ready to face it now. And some of that stuff has been under there for thousands of years. It's time now, open the carpet, let's have a peekaboo and see what's going on in there, so you can get lighter and brighter and change your body from a carbon base to a silica base. And the only way you can go from carbon to silica is releasing negative emotions, so the vibration that you emanate, the light that comes out of you, gets brighter and lighter. You know, this is the benefit that we're going through. So I would say much love to you now. I speak light language, as some of you know. There are various different kinds of light language. I can speak quite a few. Some people speak different tonations, frequencies. They come from different star systems. They come from the 7th dimension and beyond. Personally speaking, I don't feel we need to, when we give a light language transmission, I don't think we need to then put it into the 3rd dimensional vocabulary, which I'm speaking with now. I think we just need to experience it. So I'd like to give you a light language activation now for 2015, because this is really about working on our heart. Everything is about integrating the wisdom from the pineal gland into the heart, bringing in the solar plexus, the power, but it all unites in the heart. Everything that we're dealing with has to unite in the heart. So let's just bring in a vibration for your heart. So close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, center yourself, place your feet firmly on the ground, and just breathe in, breathe out. Akamaya kasakaya akamoya isimuya kachia. Ekachia kokoya imoya ekisianya kimia. Oyomoya kasakaya chikikia okamoya kisi chikamaya kasaya. O makasakatia kimukia kasaya kalakamoya kasia kichimia. Be love. In 2015, just be love.